Today's episode is being brought to you by Goya Foods. If it's Goya, it has to be good.
Peter came in to see me. My oldest brother, Peter, he came in to see me one day. And I looked at him, and he said, "How you doing?" I go, "I'm okay." I walked back to my room, and I went, "Okay, this is going to be tough because I don't know who that is."
Sachs in the morning. Sports, money, life. Steve Sachs.
Hi, Steve Sachs here with Sachs in the Morning, and today is Thursday, so we are blessed to have our long-form guest today, and we have a lady in studio that I've known for a long time. She was my boss when I was a hard worker at the Club Pheasant restaurant in West Sacramento when I was in high school, and she has an amazing story that we just had to have her in here, and she's an author, and she's a cancer survivor, and she's done some amazing things in her life, and I want to bring up right now my good friend, Patti Palamidessi. Patti, how are you?
Hello, Steve. I'm fine. How are you doing?
Good. You look beautiful, and you're such a wonderful person. I've known Patti I was 16 years old when...
16. Had to be 16 to work.
To work there, right?
Or 17.
No, I was 16. I was maybe 16.
Okay.
But went to school with your brothers, and you guys were such a staple in the community with the owners of the Pheasant Club restaurant, which is my favorite restaurant of all time. It is just unbelievable. People all around in this area know. All the, important people go there, right? The politicians and everybody.
There used to be lots of politicians.
How many politicians used to go there? I mean, this is...
Many years ago, the sheriffs used to go there.
Oh, yeah.
The DA's office. We had
everybody.
And that was when there was not that much developed downtown.
Yeah,
and
sure.
The Pheasant Club was the place to go. I saw $1 million deals with men shaking hands.
Really?
Yes.
There was a lot going on there, especially early on when it was the Hideaway Club and all that. There was lots of. They got the gambling going on, but that was many moons ago.
That was many years ago before Nono bought it. Before my grandfather bought it, it was a Hideaway, and an African American man, very highly known in that community. It was the speakeasy. The liquor was upstairs in a subway behind my office, and nobody could tell it was there. And my little brothers were playing. Perry and Danny were playing up there one day, and the door went open, and they're going, "Dad, what is this?"
What's this?
My dad went in, and he found all the bottles, and the little bottles, the liquor bottles, and the wine, and it was all
just all dried up. Yeah. But it showed a little bit of the past, right?
Oh, totally.
Yeah, that's cool.
Ella Fitzgerald used to come in.
Really?
Yeah, they would leave in from San Francisco, stopping at the El Rancho Hotel.
Sure. Down there.
And then coming down to the Hideaway.
Right.
And that man was that well known. And he.
Now, what year was that? What year was that? That was probably
in the 20s.
Oh, wow, way back then in the 20s and 30s.
Yeah.
Gosh, that was something.
Yeah.
And it's still a landmark, and it's just such a great place. But Patti, I want to talk a little bit about your book too. The book is called The Other Four-Letter Word, and it's an amazing story that Patti has. So, Patti, I'm just going to let you kind of go ahead and tell a little bit about your book and tell us some of your story.
Okay. All right. I wrote the book to help others after I went through my recovery and when I learned what other people go through.
Mm-hmm.
And then
tell us what you were recovering from and how that started.
Yeah. Okay. When I was 2 years old, I had pneumonia. And I had a really high temp, and I had a seizure. A convulsion is what they called it back then. Oh. And I had one, and I was in the hospital, and they thought it was from the high temp. And then as I was growing up, I would have these weird feelings in my stomach and kind of space for a minute. And I thought that was part of life. I didn't know anything different. When I was at Our Lady of Grace, I'd be in trouble for daydreaming. And when, in fact, I was having these feelings. And again, this is part of the world and part of life, so I just kept going.
And Our Lady of Grace is the Catholic school at which you attended.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then at 16, I was a cheerleader, and I was getting ready to go to the game, and I went up to my mom. I said, "Where am I going?" And she says, "Oh, you're all excited. You're going to the game." I said, "Okay." I said, "Who are we playing?" And she was a little concerned, but that night I had a grand mal seizure. Oh. And my dad heard me moving around, and he came in and So they called the ambulance, and my mom said my 4 brothers were standing there, one after, all in their shorts, watching me.
Oh, my God. Watching you go away.
Yeah.
So they found out that it was...
After some testings and stuff, I found out that I have epilepsy. Mm-hmm. And epilepsy is the condition that I've had since I was 2, not knowing it till I was 16. Mm. And I did fine with it. I lived it, took on my phenobarbital and dilantin, the only medications back then. And so I went through life okay. And I drank, and mm-hmm. my hangovers were having some auras. Big deal. I was having them. If I drank, I had them. If I didn't drink. Mm-hmm. So I thought, what the hell? I'm going to go have fun. Yeah. And when in my 20s, I started having a tough time, and I went in. Sutter found an epileptologist, an epilepsy specialist. And so I went to him, and we started taking tests and so forth. And a wonderful man, Dr. Watson, Craig Watson. And as I got in my 30s, tougher auras, longer, couple minutes long, I'd be working and I wouldn't even know where I was. And I remember looking up to Perry one time. I said, Perry, I need you. And then he took me back to the kitchen and back up into my office.
And Perry's one of your brothers.
Perry's my brother, mm-hmm. One of my younger brothers. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, I went back into the doctor, and they started talking about surgeries. And that was at the very beginning when this was happening. And I said, I looked at him and I laughed. I got, no way. You go talk to other people and then come back and talk to me when you have this down.
Right. When you think about surgery, obviously for epilepsy, it's with the brain, and
brain surgery.
That's very daunting.
It is, and it's very intense when they just say that at age 36. I'm going, yeah. And so the next couple of years were really tough. They were, 5 minutes long. One time I was getting my hair done downtown, and next thing I knew, I was in an ambulance.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. Wow. So Dr. Watson, we had a long talk, and I agreed with it. And so at age 38 in August, I had a 10-hour brain surgery. Mm-hmm. They put electrodes probably about 2 inches long on each side of my brain. They hadn't done this surgery yet. I was their guinea pig.
Wow.
Yeah. Dr. Cobb.
And you knew that going in?
Yeah.
Okay, that's brave.
I did.
That's a lot of bravery.
Yeah. And I, you know what? I handled this for so long on my own that I thought, well, it's one more thing to help me get better. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't afraid of it. It was just like, I learned to bring my struggle in, and I take care of it instead of it being in charge of me.
It's amazing.
Because I was so used to having them, and it's just part of my life. Mm-hmm. So anyway, 1st of August went in, 9-hour surgery. They monitored me for 10 days, and I was in one room, and they're in another room. The nurses were watching over me up from above, and nothing happened for about 6 days. And I had electrodes, and I looked like I had this thing around my neck, like I had broken my neck.
Like a halo?
A halo, yeah. Mm-hmm. And so it was like this. I know you can't see that, but and so we started telling jokes, and I was just part of their little group there because I made it fun.
Yeah.
Because what else I could do? Right. So they're walking me down the hall one day, and I started skipping, and I started singing, "We're off to see the wizard." And I thought, which one was the brain?
Oh, you're the scarecrow.
The scarecrow. I was a scarecrow looking for a new brain.
Yeah, that's right.
and they all just started busting up, and they're going, I don't, so. Wow. So anyway, my auras started. I was starting to, Dr. Bergerman, a genius with epilepsy. Mm-hmm. And he had me reading. And so as I'm reading, he goes, "Stop. Did you feel that?" And I go,
"Is this during the surgery?"
No, this is.
But were you awake during the surgery?
Oh God, no.
Okay.
Sometimes they do that.
Sometimes they do that. Yes, they are.
No, I was under.
Okay.
I was under.
All right.
And like I said, about the 5th, 6th day, they started, and then we were monitoring them, and I was having them, and I didn't know I was had them.
You were having them, and you didn't know it.
Exactly. Wow. He said, "Did you feel that?" And I said, "No." And he says, "How about that one?" I go, "No." And so I just went on, and then one time I was telling jokes with the two guys that were monitoring me then, and we were telling not so nice jokes and laughing, and and I went to go to the bathroom, and I turned around, and I go, guys, it's going to happen. And so they came in for me, and I had a grand mal because they removed some of my medication, so I would perform for them basically.
Right.
So that they can see what happens. And so
you were basically, that time you were there being monitored.
Yes.
They were trying to find out where it went from
what
there.
part of the brain is coming from,
right.
What it does to the brain while it's happening, the area where it's bothering the brain. So 10 days later, went in for another 2.5-hour surgery, removed everything, and sent me home that day.
Wow.
And I was in a mess. I still had all, Anyway, so a month goes on, and September 9th is my birthday because that's when I went in for my main surgery. And I had another 10.5-hour surgery then. So within a month, I had 24-hour surgeries, brain surgery.
Wow. Now, that second surgery that you were talking about, what did that consist of?
Yeah, that's the main one.
Okay.
They went in, and they were able to tell from my monitoring what part of the brain that was causing the seizures.
I see.
And so when they did the main surgery, they went in and they started to remove that portion that was causing the seizures. Okay. And they said it would be like the end of your little finger. And so they went in, and I had so much scar damage from having so many seizures all my life that they had to take a lot more than they had ever anticipated.
Okay.
And so they removed 70% of my hippocampus. Now, the hippocampus is where your memory is.
Right.
And they had told me that I may have a hard time remembering names after surgery. And I had to sign some papers, of course, that I understood that. And I trusted everything they were telling me, and I really did, because they helped save my life. And so it's all right.
So they removed the hippocampus. 70% of the
hippocampus. Then they saw more damage in the amygdala.
You're coming up with names that I can't even pronounce, so you're doing pretty darn
well. I studied the brain afterwards, because after the surgery, which I will explain afterwards, I had to learn what they did to me.
Wow.
I had to learn and understand, otherwise I would never get past what you'll see in a minute, what I did, what I couldn't do. And so they removed 40% of my amygdala.
How old were you when this was happening?
38.
This was the 38. So this was the big surgery.
This was the main surgery. The main thing that
Patti, it's incredible, because we've done some stuff on the brain, and we've talked about the hippocampus.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And
amazing
as a matter of fact, they talked about the hippocampus in cab drivers in London.
I read that.
Is much bigger than other places because they're constantly exercising it.
Yes, yes. And that was an amazing article. Because I get the brains, the magazine.
Sure.
So anyway, when I came home, I had a hard time putting two and two together. And at first I thought, well, it's just because, I'm still swollen from the surgeries. I couldn't even put a baseball hat on. My head was so swollen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you should have got Bruce Bochy's hat. Then you probably would have done it. Sorry, Bruce. We just had to throw that in there.
Anyways, yeah, I had to cut the back off just to even fit.
Oh, my gosh.
And I was bald. And I told my dad, I said, I feel bad for bald men because they must freeze their butts off at night because it was cold.
Right.
And so anyway, Peter came in to see me. My oldest brother, Peter, he came in to see me one day. And I am just in another world, you guys, because I couldn't figure what 2 and 2 would be. And I looked at him, and he said, "How you doing?" I go, "I'm okay." I walked back to my room, and I went, "Okay, this is going to be tough because I don't know who that is."
Wow. Jeez.
That's when I learned, okay, you got to be strong again because you're never going to get past this. And so I called the doctor, and I chewed his butt out. I said, "You guys didn't tell me I was going to have this much trouble. I was supposed to be back to work in 3 weeks. I don't even know who my brother is." I said, "This is bullshit." And he said there was a lot more damage than we had ever anticipated. And that's when I learned that they had to take a lot more. So it was funny because Bergerman and we would go back and forth. And he would yell at me and I'd yell at him. And then at the end of the day, end of the conversation, we're going, okay, we're done.
That's it. Boom.
We're done. We're friends again. And thank you.
Yeah.
And so at any rate, I didn't know how to write my name. Wow. I didn't know what a pencil was. They took so much of my memory. Never anticipated this would be happening, but it did. And so I had to pay some bills, so my mom was writing them out, and I went to sign my name, and that's when I looked at the pen. I'm going, what is this?
Oh, wow.
And then I went to sign my name, and I didn't know how. And so I went back in my room, and I got some paper, and I just started writing, and I thought, I'm going to do this. And I had to learn the ABCs. I had to learn my numbers. I had to learn everything.
Wow.
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough, and it was scary, and I was afraid of everything. Here comes the amygdala.
Okay.
Amygdala is where your fear is. They took 40%, and the doctors told me that it opened up my freeway to fear, because I was never afraid of anything. You know that when I played sports all the time, and
well, 4 brothers, you kind of learned to be pretty tough.
Yeah, I had to be, otherwise I'd be I tore the head off of the Barbie when I first got it. Got my mitt.
So you jettisoned the Barbie. You say, I want my baseball glove, right?
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
That's how much I played sports with them. Anyway, getting back to my struggle. I remember my parents going to dinner one night, and it was the first time they were leaving me because I was afraid to be by myself. I was afraid of everything, and I thought, what the hell? But I sat myself down, I'll never forget this, and I got a paper and pencil, and I practiced everything I could. And I practiced my ABCs, I practiced my numbers, and then once you start, it kind of starts coming back together. And so I was happy when I went to 1 to 10. I'm going, holy crap, this is good, Patty.
Let's take a brief break for our sponsor. Thanks to Goya for their support of today's episode. It's no wonder Goya's commitment to excellence is the cornerstone of the company credo. If it's Goya, it has to be good. This simple yet deeply resonant pledge is the evolution of Goya Foods as a leader in the Latin American food industry and a trusted American brand. Al Hendrickson Toyota, it's always worth the drive. When you make the drive to Al Hendrickson Toyota, you're getting an experience that will make you want to return again and again. Visit in person in South Florida or visit online to see the inventory of new, pre-owned, and certified pre-owned vehicles, proving Al's got it all at every step of the car buying process. Wherever you may be shopping from, Al's got value, Al's got selection, Al's got deals, Al's got service, Al's got the right team. It's always worth the drive to Al Hendrickson Toyota. Al Hendrickson Toyota is the #1 volume Toyota dealer in the Southeast region. Online at alhendricksontoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. And now, back to our conversation. So, Patty, it seems to me, as we learned about the hippocampus part of the brain, it seems to me what you're saying is that you were exercising your brain.
Absolutely.
And it was strengthening.
Yes.
As you kept exercising it.
Exactly.
Is that how it worked?
Yes.
Wow.
Because your memory is where your names are. I learned this through experience. Your memory is your left hippocampus, which they took, is where your memory, your spelling, your names. On the right hippocampus is your math and your music.
Wow.
And because I called him, I said, I used to be the best spelling. I was spelling bee at 3rd grade. I can't spell my name anymore. What the hell did you do? And then I was listening to the radio, and I started singing a song. And I called him back. I said, okay, how come I can sing? I can sing every word, but I can't. And that's on the right hippocampus.
That's amazing. Patty, I want to say this. I listened to your story, and I've read about your story, And what I'm astounded at is your mindset and how during your surgery or after your surgery, you almost challenged the surgery before you went in there. You were almost like, bring it on, making fun of it afterwards, taunting, the fact that you went through this. Was that, where did you come up with this amazing mindset? Was that like a shield mechanism you used? Was it just the way you are?
Both.
Or is that how you dealt with it? Or how did you have that mindset?
All three, basically. I had lived with it for so long. It's like, okay, and it did stop me from a lot of things because of fear. And even beforehand. And after the surgery, and I was a mess. I learned of the fear. I learned what the hippocampus does and how strong you can be and how I had to overcome this in order to get back to where I want to be, because I didn't put myself through this to stay there. It was tough to go through and the recovery was tough, but I did this to be better.
Right.
And I thought, okay, bring it on here, God. I'm going to beat you again. Go ahead, try me. That's what I always say when I got my cancer. I was like, okay, go ahead, bring it on.
Yeah, and that's another whole story. Patti was diagnosed with stage 2 kidney cancer on the verge of going on a trip to Italy, which more than anything pissed you off because you didn't get to go on the trip.
I had 18 people ready to go. I set the tour up and I was ready to take them all, and bango, they were leaving when I was going under surgery.
And thankfully you whipped that.
I said, bring it on, God.
So you've kicked epilepsy's ass. You've kicked cancer's ass. I mean, you've kicked a lot of behind in your day. And you sit here in this studio and you're such a beautiful woman, and
kind.
You look about half your age, and you sit here and have a conversation with you. Nobody would ever know that you've had any of these maladies.
No.
They wouldn't even pick up on it. No. I mean, it's amazing how strong you are. I mean, I'm just in sheer admiration of how you've done this.
You know what? I'm going to go back a little bit. What I learned on Channel 6, they had this like 4 parts of the brain, and I watched it, and that's where I learned we have over 40 billion neurons in our brain. 40 billion, and those neurons connect to make my sentence that I'm saying right now. They're connecting. My brain is telling each other what I want to say, and it's letting me. There for a long time, I still can't think of words. I still can't think of things that I need to say that if I don't use it, I go, okay, what?
I say,
what am I?
It's all right.
And I do. I say, okay, what's the word I want to use?
Well, people that don't have epilepsy do the same thing.
Well,
I do that
getting
too.
older. As we get older, we just do it.
Where was I?
Yeah, right.
You ever?
Right.
We're sitting here with our producer, Max. Max, you ever go in another room and figure out why the hell did I just walk in here? I do that too. So
it's part of life.
It's part of it, right?
It's part of life. But I learned it the hard way. But I recovered from surgery, and I did it in a way that when I understood the brain, I understood what I had to do to beat it.
Did that help you, Patti?
Totally.
Did that help you, the clinical part of understanding and studying what the brain does and what they were doing in the surgery? Did that help you kind of put it all in perspective?
Absolutely. It helped me understand it better. It helped me accept it. It helped me, and I want people to understand that nobody knew I was going through this. I had to go back to the restaurant and learn my job again.
I didn't know you went through it, and I'm at the restaurant all the time.
Yeah, and so my point there is nobody knows what other people go through. And sometimes if you have a broken arm, you're going, oh, gee, what'd you do? Sorry. They don't know what's going on up here in the brain for other people. And that's where the kindness has to come in. And that's where you have to be kind to everybody, because you don't know what's happening. And they could be depressed. Sometimes just a smile and say hello can be helpful. They can accept themselves a little bit better. If somebody would come to the restaurant and they're by themselves, I made sure they were most comfortable than anybody else because they're by themselves. There'd be times when people would come in and they say, I was in Vietnam and I need something to the back. I have to have my back to the wall. I said, I totally get it.
Yeah.
And it's PTSD. And I lived with, it's just compassion and helping other people. And just, it makes you feel good.
Yes.
But you're helping somebody else get past that struggle they're in. And the world needs to do that.
Yeah.
Because nobody knows what they're going through. And I learned that from my recovery. They don't know what I'm thinking and how hard it is to find that thought in my head. And people with strokes, with brain aneurysm, with brain to anything up there, it's very kind to be kind to them.
So all that stuff you went through, you found that there's things that you've taken out of that, like compassion and how to relate that to people as a helping hand for the community. And it makes you feel good to do it on top.
Exactly. Makes you feel good.
Yep.
And just say hi or wave. Or now with the masks, you can't really do that anymore. But so give a gesture.
Yeah.
Nod your head. Something. A friend of mine, Mike Hill.
Yeah.
He told me, because he helped me with my book when I was writing it, because he's a professor and he writes books and everything. So we were in touch, and he told me the last time he was home, he says, I want you to know that you helped save somebody's life after she read your book. I said, really? He says, oh my God, yeah, that helped her tremendously.
Yep,
Says,
Patty, that was my next question. I want to. There's really two ways that I see how you've done this. Number one, the physical part of just going through the surgery. You were almost a guinea pig in this, and some of the things they did.
Yeah.
So you've helped save many people just in that one regard there. You've opened that pathway for them to be confident in that surgery.
Right.
And the other thing is the way you are able to recover, to give people the confidence to know that after going through that hellish thing that you went through in that surgery and going through all the years of epilepsy, you were able to come back from that. Then they threw cancer in your lap. You came back from that.
Yeah.
You have been an amazing inspiration for people, and that leads me to your book. So I want you to tell us about your book and where people can get it and what inspired you, obviously.
I tell the story of myself, and I give affirmations after each section that I write, because there's a reason for things that happen to us. And then with an affirmation, you kind of understand it. Like you go on, you set one foot in front of the other, and if a thin voice cries out somewhere behind you, you pretend not to hear it and keep going. Things like that. And I would read those things. I had my bathroom mirror filled with these things just to give me confidence to get myself to work for the day.
Right.
You know?
Sure.
And nobody knew what I was going through. Nobody knew.
Did you feel kind of lonely about that?
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah, because I was like up on my own.
How did you deal with that? Because the fear had to be part of that. I mean, not being around anybody.
I went to, the first night I went home after surgery, I sat there and I just looked around. I'm going, where in the hell am I? Wow. And I looked outside. I'm going, oh shit, I can't
go ahead.
Oh shit, I can't go out there. I am too afraid. Wow. And that's when I called the doctor and I said, what did you guys do? But it's such a small part of your brain. And so a thought is as big as a dot. And if you just draw a dot on your paper, that's about as big as that thought is in your life. And then we build it and we build it and we keep building it. And now it is this huge fear and we don't know what to do with it. But it all started from that little thought, and we make that thought into our fear. Wow. And I say when you're taking a walk, you smash that dot with your, every time you walk, you smash the dot. And
amazing, because when we talk to people about that, and that's one reason I wrote my book Shift, is we have what's called the saboteur or the inner critic.
Okay. Yes.
It's on your shoulder.
Yes.
It's trying to, tell you, sometimes it's negative to try to protect you, whatever. And, we just do this.
Yes.
You squash it, we flick it.
Exactly.
Flick it off the shoulder and you squash it. It's kind of the same thing.
Same thing, Steve. Yeah. Exactly.
And we all have it. Everybody has
human.
it. Everybody has it.
Human. And if you don't, you're a little bit weird.
You're a little bit weird if you don't.
Yeah.
Right. There's something not going on right there.
Exactly.
Because it's a protective mechanism.
Absolutely.
And I like yours a lot because I try to tell people sometimes we put it in a box and
Yes.
we put it on the shelf or we flush it down the toilet. We say, whatever's going to happen, if there's some negative things happening today, it's not going to be because of that, because I just took care of it.
Exactly.
You squash it.
Well put. Yeah.
Whatever.
You just get that thought, and that's what it is. It's a little thought. And think of it as the 40 billion neurons you have in your brain. Look at how teeny that is up there in your brain. But you're going to let it be huge in your life.
You better take care of it.
Yeah. And the best thing you can do for that is what I've done is learn to meditate, learn to stay within and don't give yourself out there to the world. You stay within, and then you can handle the world as opposed to living out there and trying to keep everybody else happy. That's BS because if you can make yourself happy, you got it made.
That's great advice. I mean, it's like you can't love others until you start loving yourself.
Exactly.
And taking care of, that
taking care of you. And what I wrote down before I was coming in is God sent you struggles and make it your friend, and you will keep taking care of it.
Right.
I had this poem, believe in yourself and what you can do. Believe in the goals that you strive to pursue. Believe in the friends who believe in you too. Forever and always believe.
Beautiful.
And believe in you. And I learned this through all this crap I was going through, and then I started to get stronger and lived on my own, and I do everything I want to do, and I take people to Europe, and I love my life.
Oh, what an amazing story. Patti, if people want to get your book, where can they get your book?
It's on Amazon.
Okay, Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon.
And the name of the book is called The Other Four-Letter Word, and it has a picture of your beautiful face on the back. And this is a great book, and I hope everybody goes out and gets it. We're going to put it out there on YouTube and Instagram and everywhere. We want everybody to buy your book. Anything you want to say in parting, Patti? Because this has been a great story, and you're going to help a lot of people just coming in here today. So we got to thank you ahead of time for that.
Well, this is what I like to do. I mean, not to come in and talk about me. I come in to tell everybody how strong you are and how strong you can be, and believe in yourself and love yourself first and all that stuff. And here's a great book to read, The Four Agreements.
The Four Agreements. Okay.
I live on that book. That's my Bible.
Okay.
Be impeccable with your word. Don't make assumptions. Don't take anything personally, and always do your best. It's very simple, and he explains how to do them. And you don't care if he doesn't like, if you don't like me,
right.
I don't need to care about that.
That's right.
Because it's your problem.
Yep. I hear you.
And that's what he teaches you. And it's really cool.
And you said you had a problem with memory? I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing that here. I'm sorry. I can't accept that. I don't believe that. You're good to me. All right, Patti, want to thank you for coming in today.
Steve,
this has been such a pleasure to have you, and great seeing you again. I've known you again since I was 16 years old, and your whole family's wonderful, and so are you. So, you know what I was amazed at, Patti? When you see, Patti was one of the owners at the Pheasant Club. She was the person that you saw when you walked in. She sat at your table. She was like the hostess, and she never forgot anybody's names. I remember people coming, oh, hi, Mr. Johnson. Oh, hi, Sally. Mike, you want that table? And you guys didn't have, you had thousands of different people coming through there all the time.
Yeah.
Right?
I did. But after my surgery, I couldn't remember, and I don't remember anybody's name very well anymore. So I would write down, red tie. Gray hair.
Oh my gosh.
At the bar with a blue blazer on or something.
Yeah.
Anything to get me there. Or sometimes I go, idiot. And I remember who they are.
Yeah. Oh, I know who that is. That guy's sitting right there. Right. All right. Max, can you use that stuff? Yeah. Okay. We're good. Patti, awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Anytime, Steve. You're a very dear friend.
Thank you. Thank you so much. If you like what you heard today, please give us a positive review, subscribe, and share the program. Also, be sure to listen to my Sax in the Morning shorts 3 days a week for a couple of minutes of uplifting suggestions to get your day off to a great start. Our music is performed by my adorable niece, Elena Jane. And remember, to reach your goals and your dreams, follow your emotional heart. Good Greek Moving and Storage, your superhero movers. Good Greek Moving and Storage exists to provide you an extraordinary moving experience, period. They make the ethos of their every step from the moment of your first phone call all the way to the placement of your last end table in your new home. A stress-free, positive experience. Offering concierge services to answer all your questions, you can trust Good Greek Moving and Storage and Spiro the Hero with all your relocation needs. Good Greek Moving and Storage is the official movers of the Florida Gators, Florida Panthers, Tampa Bay Bucks, Miami Heat, Miami Marlins, Florida International University, and the University of Miami. And thanks to Al Hendrickson Toyota for their support of this podcast. And be sure to visit alhendricksontoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. Thanks to Goya for their support of today's episode. It's no wonder Goya's commitment to excellence is the cornerstone of the company credo. If it's Goya, it has to be good.